Every little thing is gonna be alright. I haven't put makeup on in days. Don't pull my hair out. See this thing here? That thing should be covered so it does not take long people's hair and suck it up in. It's a flaw, a development flaw. See this little piece here? See, this will eventually go back into that thing and get ripped out while I'm driving. It's real fun. Story time. So this morning, I was watching cats wander across my backyard that look like they don't belong to anybody. So I'm going to show you some. As you guys have seen, this is my little neighborhood, right? Going that way. So I'm turning the corner here because we got Main Street, right? So I'm not going to show you where I live, but this is like how I get to Main Street to get out of town. Then I come to this light or this stop sign and I come up here. And right here is where, along that fence row, right, not that house, along this fence row right here is where A&E came when they shot hoarders in my neighborhood. Yup, we had hoarders. Now, I'm going to show you real quick the house that they tore down, the old house, and put a new house where the old house was. Boom, real quick. A really nice new house. But that used to be, that plot of land used to be where a house that had over 100 cats in it and a woman who didn't have water, electric, nothing, and lived in squalor for years and nobody knew. Now, there's the house. This is the back. Whoop, whoop. Where's my finger? That is the back to my house. So her house was here. My house was there. Okay? That's my backyard. Let me tell you the story. So I had a girl named Angie, and she was cleaning my house that day, and I was at work, and she calls me up and tells me there had to be some sort of leak or something, like a chemical spill, because there were guys in hazmat suits walking around my yard. Hazmat, like the white suits, and they had on gas masks and everything. Scared the shit out of my house cleaner. So anyway, I said, oh my God, did you ask him what then? She's like, no, I'm not going outside. So I drove home. Hold on. So I came flying home because I didn't know what was going on. I had dogs, her, you know, my kids. I wanted to know what was happening. So I come flying home and they're no longer in my yard, but I say, okay, I'm going to try and figure out what's going on. So I drove down to the stop sign I just showed you, made the left, and tried to make a right up the street where the house was, and was stopped by policemen. And they said, you can't use this street. Wow, that is so obnoxious. The sun just happens to be right there right now. He says, you can't use this street right now. It's closed. So I was like, okay. But when I looked up where that fence row I just showed you was, it was stacks of like carry crates for dogs, like little dogs, those, you know, the carriers with the grilled, it's like a grid in the front and the rest is covered, and the handle on the top. Only it was a wall of them. I mean, a wall of carriers. So I was like, what the hell is this? In front of those carriers, along that fence row, was a bunch of long, narrow tables, and on it were like power bars and sodas and waters and napkins and like all this stuff. And I was like, what the hell? So, and then there were people in hazmat suits walking around. there was like, oh, and then there were these white vans all over the place. These big white vans that had like no windows. Are they blocking the road? Oh no, okay. That were like, these white vans were everywhere, and that's where the hazmat suit guys were going in and out of, right? So, then there was like people walking around with like clipboards, okay? And it was just this busy street, and the cop that stopped me, I knew him, but he was way too busy to like answer any of my questions. So I just said, are we okay? Are we safe? And he's like, yeah, it's gonna be okay. So I turned around and went home, told my housekeeper everything's fine, she could go home. And I just didn't let my dogs out that night very much because I was worried that something was in the air. You know, I didn't know what was going on. The next day, the next morning, I wake up and I'm like, I'm finding out what the hell's going on in my neighborhood because I'm just a nosy fucking bitch, really. That's really what it is. So I go and I get in my car and I go the same route to do the L to get out. And they don't have it blocked this time, but all the commotion's still going on. So I drove really slowly up the street because I'm just nosy. I'm like, what is going on? And some lady with a clipboard is like walking out of the house. And so as she comes to my car, I just slow down, you know, and she like leans down like this. So now I'm crawling, so I just stop, like she's gonna say something to me. So I say, so she leans down like this at my car window, and I'm like literally creeping. I'm doing 1 mile an hour, so I just stopped my car, and I hit the window down, and I said, how is everything? Like I knew what was going on. And she's like, oh, we have her now. And I said, oh, okay. I have no idea what they're talking about. Oh, well, we've gathered up a lot of the cats. There's still a lot to go. We're just keeping her as calm as possible. We're going to let her go in there today and get some clothes out for herself. But most everything's ruined with urine. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Now, I feel horrible for, like, being an asshole and sneaking around and trying to find out. But also, I'm like, can I help? Is there anything I can do to help you guys? And she's like, no, we have this under control. But I so thank you for your concern. Now I feel like, so she's like, yeah, so you know, we're handling everything. So I'm like, now I really feel like an asshole. Like, I feel like a complete asshole because, like, I really wasn't concerned. I was being nosy, but what am I supposed to say? Well, I'm an asshole. I was really being nosy. Like, I didn't know what to say. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm so glad. If you need anything, and I point to my house. I say, I live over there. If you need anything, just knock on my door, and I give her my address. She's like, oh, thank you so much. So now I'm like, what the hell? So as I drive by the house, I look at one of the vans, and it says A&E on it. And I'm like, this is hoarders, right? Like, it dawned on me, this is like cat hoarders. And I realized that some of the equipment that I saw standing around were lights. They were like these great big lights that were like on big rectangles of like 50 light bulbs, and they like angled down like this. So I was like, oh my God, this is like animal hoarders or something. Okay, so then that was like Thursday. So the next day, there was like a truck that came down, and A&E trucks are going by my house at this point. Like, now everybody knows that it's hoarders. And so all this is going on, and then all of a sudden, they told me, the lady said to me, we got her a place to stay, and this lady was like super nice. But let me tell you what happened. So they're like, we got her a place to stay, and we paid her rent for a year, so she has a year to stay there, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, that's so nice, you know. And they're like, yeah, it's an assisted facility, you know, she'll need some help, blah, blah, blah. So we got her in an assisted facility. I was like, oh my God, that is so nice, blah, 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 right? So then they disappear. No more A&E truck. Everything's gone. TV camera's gone. Everybody's gone. Okay. but there's cats everywhere. And I mean, so many. And they're starving. They're hungry. Their mommy's gone. They have no food. I'm like, oh my God, this is not okay. So they're in my backyard. They're in my neighbor's backyard. And some of the neighbors literally took to shooting them. A lot of them were disease. I got freaking hair on my mouth. A lot of them like had that weepy eye disease thing, and like the kittens didn't live long and stuff. So anyway, they came around my house. I wasn't gonna kill them. I tried to call like N E. I tried to email them. I tried to call Faithful Friends, the SPCA. They were like, well, you can trap them if you want and relocate them, but we don't have any room for them. Like, they were going to let me, I could leave $100 at the SPCA, get the trap as many as I wanted. I don't know what they wanted me to do with them, and then take the trap back and get my $100 back. That was their deal. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these cats? There's so many cats. So, so they had no solution, and neither did A&E, and they just like, just left. And I guess they got a lot of cats out. They didn't get them all, anywhere near the mall. And they were so hungry, and they were so miserable, and they were so sick, you know. Well, they used to go to my neighbor's house, the one that's empty. The house that, you know, I've shown you, it's just like falling into the ground at this point. That house, well, it doesn't have siding on it, so you can go right through the house because it's just the roll of insulation, that paper insulation, and then drywall, and then the house, then you're in. So they had dug a hole in and were going in and out the back of the house, and then they would climb up on the roof because the house next to me has like a tall roof, but then a short roof, right? And they would go up on the short roof, and they would cry to me because I had dogs in my yard. They wouldn't come in my yard, but they would like cry at me because they were hungry. So I would buy cat food. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to feed them, but what was I going to do? They were starving. So I'd buy packets that like almost like metalish. No, it's like tinfoil bag, like plastic tinfoily bags of cat food, and in the pouch with gravy, you know. And I would cut an X in them and throw them on the roof so they would have something to eat. Little by little, all but like one or two died off that are still roaming around my neighborhood. That was about 4 years ago, and they're like gone now. But if you look up like the cat lady on A&A, you'll see her. You'll see my neighborhood. And the story when A&E took over my neighborhood and scared the crap out of my housekeeper. Yeah, it wasn't good. So anyway, you can still see when the reason I even thought of it was like, I look out my yard and there is a cat in my yard that is obviously wild, and I'm like, God, they're still here after all that. Like, there's still remnants. I don't think that's an actual cat, but it's like one of the cat babies left to take care of itself, I would imagine. So I just think it's crazy that that's what it is. So I'm looking for this pharmacy and I'm not finding it. Oh well. Anyway, that's the story, guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.